Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the opportunity to allow me to introduce Dr. King Alexander. Dr. Alexander is the current president of the California State University at Long Beach, one of the largest four-year universities in California. And prior to his current post, Dr. Alexander served as the president of Murray State University in Kentucky. He is a foundation fellow at Harris Manchester College, University of Oxford, and a faculty affiliate at both the Cornell University Higher Education Research Institute and the University of Illinois Institute of Government and Public Affairs. He has over 15 years of experience in the field of higher education and has co-edited several books and authored numerous journal articles and book chapters. I'm very pleased that he's able to join us here today since he is from my home state and from very close to my district, and I'm sure you will find him as engaging as I do.
Thank you, Chairman Miller and members of the committee, for this opportunity to share my thoughts with you about the rising college costs, public accountability, and I also want to point out equal opportunity. I'm president of a university of 37,000 strong, but I'm here representing the largest university system in the United States of 450,000 students, and we are the most diverse system in the United States, where 54% of our students come from underrepresented backgrounds, and 40% of those students are Pell Grant eligible students, roughly first-generation students seeking college attainment and attendance. I'm also representing many of the public universities who do what we do throughout the United States. Our tuition and fees this year will reach $3,164, roughly half the national public university average. And we do a very good job at keeping our fees low. The CSU system is roughly at about $3,400, or about half of the national public university average. We grew by 1,400 students alone just in our institution, and the CSU grew by 25,000 new students just between last year and this year. I'm here today because I'm here to talk to you about two issues: accountability and transparency, which we welcome with open arms. I'm also here to thank the committee for the work that they did 4 years ago when we first started talking about the concept of net tuition and exposing net tuition and real differences between net tuition sticker pricing, as well as making sure parents have better information. And I'll hit this a little bit later. Accountability and transparency first is the first issue, and we certainly commend the efforts and support all the work that you're doing. We also, Nostalgic and the American Association of State Colleges and Universities, will unveil our volunteer system of accountability this month. This makes 12 pages of data and information about student learning, as well as the type of colleges that they're attending, volunteer service opportunities, lots of information, lots more information available to students and parents. And this will be unveiled this month through Nostalgic as well as ASKU to the nation. This represents all public four-year sectors in higher education. I'd like to point out that the CSU doesn't want to stop there. We also have taken this opportunity to add our own CSU VSA. And if you turn to my testimony, you'll see a chart. That chart highlights some of the things that we want the public to know. These are things we want our taxpayers to know, that we want our policymakers to know. Average student loan debt versus national averages. Percentage of students leaving in debt. Net tuition of the average family that may attend. Not an awarded student, but just an average family, so they have an idea of what they may pay to attend our institution. In addition to that, we think it is absolutely vital that we measure and calculate economic diversity in our institutions. So when we take into account graduation rates, we also take first into account the types of students that we're serving within our institutions. As I mentioned, we have 40% first-generation Pell Grant eligible students, and we would like these issues raised, and we'd like these issues accounted for by those institutions who remain public in mission and who remain public in practice, and in the type of students that they serve around the United States. I'd also like to focus on the issue of college costs, state appropriations, and the maintenance of state funding effort. The biggest issue, as Ms. Wellman pointed out for us, is the abdication of state governments in their roles and responsibilities to provide universal access for all of our students to public higher education. Roughly 80% of our students are in the public sector. We are highly contingent and reliant on what the states do for us. We greatly appreciate the financial aid that you help by putting into the system to help offset many of these cuts, but in many cases it does not allow us to keep pace with the cuts that we've had to endure. When states stepped to the plate, as California did 2 years ago, we also stepped to the plate, and we did not increase our tuition and fees one single dime 2 years ago, when the state came through and helped offset the enrollment growth numbers and the enrollment growth cost escalation that we experience through fixed cost growth. When our states step to the plate, we do not raise tuition nearly to the degree that we do when our states remove themselves from these fiscal responsibilities. That's why I think it's imperative to do two things. First of all, when we follow these college cost issues, that we must also follow dollars, not percentages. The universities out there with the lowest dollar rates are often, generally, the institutions who, when they increase their rates by the highest percentages. Now, former Chairman McKeon took this into account by incorporating the $500 I think, exemption, which helps many of our institutions who have fought hard to keep costs low and who will continue to fight hard to keep costs low. But the most important issue that I think we need to address as a federal government and we need to address as higher education is how can we use the leverage of the federal government to make sure that state governments do not remove themselves from these important responsibilities. We've done this in Medicaid. We've done this in Title I for public schools. Yet we are an easy cut. We are the first organization or first institution cut when states need to make budget cuts. And this comes at a time when higher education has never been more important to this nation and never been more important to society. By incorporating state maintenance of effort, provisions in new legislation that protect states and ensure that states keep up to their responsibilities, to ensure that states like California, North Carolina, Texas, West Virginia are rewarded for having high tax effort in support of keeping costs low is very important for this nation. To not address this issue, I think you will see most states continue to slide in the direction that many states have done throughout the New England area, as well as Ohio and many states that have not funded higher education very well in the last 2 decades. This is my greatest concern, and I think it's the greatest crisis that we address, is the formation of a federal partnership between the federal government and states to maintain state levels, current or increasing levels of state appropriations for their public institutions of higher education.